Mr. Oracle, sir, it clearly states here the tritone is a dissonance and an avoid note. And in your last solo, I counted not 1, 2, 3, 4, but at least 8 times you used the tritone as a resolution point. What do you have to say for yourself? Hi everyone, the Saxophone Oracle here. So a few weeks back I made a video, 10 tips on how to find a good teacher. So things to do, things not to do, questions to ask, what to look for, yada yada. So this week I thought I would turn the table, so to speak, and give 10 tips on how to be a good student. So some of these are going to be how to behave or treat your teachers, and other things are how to do to yourself to make your learning easier, more enjoyable. Okay? So number one, of course, this goes without saying, but it is the most important thing, and unfortunately it does need saying. Number one thing to being a good student, practice. Right? Why people decide to play a musical instrument and then don't practice, I will never know. But you're going to a lesson, make sure you practice and you're prepared for your lesson, right? Your teacher is not assigning you things for their benefit. They don't want to hear you play that etude over and over again, right? And if you come in unprepared and try and pass it over your teacher's head, believe me, you're not fooling anyone. We know you haven't practiced. So just practice, do it. Respect for your own time and money, respect for your teacher's time and knowledge. That's the only way to get better at music, practice. Number two, to being a good student. This one, again, is behavior towards your teacher. If you have a lesson, show up. If you've signed up for lessons, show up to your lessons. If you're not going to show up, then at least pay for your teacher's time. That's how they make a living. They put that time aside for you. Fair enough, show up to your lesson or pay for the time. Tip number three on being a good student. Ask questions, be inquisitive. If you don't understand something, ask, right? Or let your teacher know. They want you to understand. They are there to help you. So ask lots of questions, write them down, bring them to your lesson so you don't forget. Same thing with if maybe you don't understand why they're asking you to do something, right? Everyone apparently hates doing long tones. Everyone hates doing overtones. Everyone hates doing scales and arpeggios. But why does teacher keep making me do them? Well, ask the question, and maybe the answer will change your mind or make it a little more pleasant having to do that activity. So number three, ask questions. Number four, don't treat your teacher as your therapist or your social club, okay? It needs to be mentioned because you see it all too often. There's some really smart people out there who I think figure out that music lessons are cheaper than therapy. Your teachers want you to be happy, they want you to be in good mental shape, but they're there to solve your musical problems, not your daily life problems. And the same thing for your social club. Believe me, I get this, especially with adult students. Music is a fun outlet, it's a hobby, gives them something to do every day. You get out of the house once a week for your lesson. Great. And yes, you're going to develop a relationship with your teachers, but your teacher's not there to be your best friend. Sure, it happens. I've had students that I've become great friends with over the years. They know my children, they know we have dinner at each other's houses, but that's the exception, right? Don't expect that of your teacher, please, okay? Number five, be proactive and invested in your learning. This is super important to being a good student. A great teacher is going to answer your questions, they're going to guide you, make recommendations, things like that, but you are responsible for your own learning, so be proactive. When I was a young student, I would go every week to the library and I would borrow recordings because we didn't have Apple Music and Spotify back then, right? I would borrow CDs and cassettes and I would listen to them and I would bring them to my lessons and I'd be like, hey, I really like this. This is amazing. And then my teacher would say, well, then maybe you'll like this person. They're along the same lines, or maybe you like this person because they influence this person you're interested in, right? Same thing with music I'm trying to play or interested in playing. I'd go buy books or sheet music or play along CDs, and I'd bring them in, and then it would give my teacher somewhere to focus, or we could add it to what we're doing. Or sometimes they would simply be like, okay, I see you like this, but this is way out of your reach. So let's put it aside and we'll put together a plan that will work towards what it is you're really interested in, right? Be proactive in your learning. Number 6, record your lessons, record yourself in general. This is big, okay? Recording is super important, and now we have no excuse to do it. We can all pull out our phone and do a recording. We don't have to buy any special gear. But so for one thing, it's a great little time capsule. It's a record that you can keep for yourself. 10 years later, you're going to look back and say, oh, that's what I sounded like when I first started out. Or you can check in every so often and gauge it. And gauge your progress. 2, recordings don't lie. Unless you've been playing saxophone for 10, 20 years, done a lot of recordings, been doing all kinds of stuff, what you hear of your playing is not reality, right? The recording doesn't lie. You put on that recorder and listen back, you're going to hear all kinds of mistakes you didn't know were there, all kinds of things you don't like about your playing that weren't there. Sure, hopefully you'll see some things you like, but it's going to keep you honest and it's going to keep you focused. And then recording your lessons, right? Maybe if you're seeing your teacher every week, it's a little bit much, but say you're working on something in particular, you may want to record it. Maybe your teacher is going to demonstrate something that you want to take home and you can play along with it. Or say, for example, a really famous, great saxophone player or musician comes through town and you get the opportunity to spend an hour with them or 2 hours, right? Record it. I mean, of course, ask permission of everyone you're going to record, but generally, I think most people are okay with it. Record it so you can refer back to it. We're at number 7. Okay, number 7 is take notes, and more importantly, keep a journal. Keep a practice journal, a practice log. So there are many reasons for this. One, it's going to track your progress, obviously. But 2, it's going to really help you stay focused. Ideally, we all have a practice routine that we follow daily, weekly, etc. So it's easy to get distracted with different kind of things and get off track. It's going to keep you focused. You're going to want to mark down things like the keys you're working on, or the metronome marking of certain pieces you're playing, or exercise of what tempos you're doing them at. Maybe you're going to come across a musical idea or a musical problem. Write it down so you can refer back to it. Possibly make an exercise out of it at a later date. So keep track of your progress, keep yourself on track, keep a journal. Super, super beneficial to your improvement. Number 8, go see live music as much as possible whenever you can, and most importantly, go see live music of someone playing your instrument, right? Okay, Spotify is great, YouTube is great, but no matter how good your stereo system is, no matter how good your headphones are, it is not the same thing as seeing a live performance. Seeing a great musician play in front of you, 10 feet in front of you, 20 feet in front of you, the sound is not the same. You don't get the same sense. You don't feel the energy. You don't feel their command of time, the way they breathe, the way the sound, there's just so much to seeing live music. So whenever possible, as much as possible, go see live music. Number 9, tip to being a good student. If you have a good teacher, you really love your teacher, hang on to them and refer them to others. Tell a friend, right? Simple as that. And let's face it, most musicians are terrible at business and self-promotion. So if you think you got a great teacher, more people could benefit from them, tell a friend. Number 10, okay? last one, number 10. This one is super important. Not quite as important as practicing all the time, but important nonetheless. Remember to stay positive and keep an eye on the big picture, right? Music is incredibly complicated. It is incredibly difficult, but it doesn't have to be a painful endeavor. Everything doesn't have to be some insurmountable task, right? We can enjoy it. It is a process. Remember that. It's a lifelong process. No matter how good you get, you're never going to stop having new things to learn, new problems to solve, etc. That's a beautiful part of the journey, right? So stay positive, even, if things are moving slower than you would like. Stay positive, keep an eye on the big picture, and keep an eye on the reality of the situation. Part of making this channel, I check out other videos, I see the Facebook groups, different forums, to get ideas of what to talk about, what people might be interested in. And there are a couple things that I see far too much of. One is people getting discouraged way too quickly and wanting to quit because they're not getting a result right away. Okay, you have to be realistic, right? People often say, "Oh, I wish I would have started when I was a kid," because kids are just sponges and they learn everything so quickly. I don't think that's necessarily true. Yes, I mean, kids are sponges, but what kids have is they have no preconceived notions, right? They have no bias. They have no expectation. They're just playing and it's fun. When I started playing clarinet in junior high band, I think for the first 6 months, we only learned 3 or 4 notes. And when we did the middle of the year concert, we played Hot Cross Buns, Mary Had a Little Lamb. Maybe by the end of the school year, I got most of the notes of the instrument together, certainly not the entire range, and then, but you're building on things slowly but surely, so don't get ahead of yourself. Stay positive and look at the big picture, right? The other thing I see is people expecting results to come instantly, right? It's not so. I see all too often. I've been playing saxophone for 6 months and I'm just having the hardest time getting altissimo. It's like, why are you even trying to get altissimo if you've been playing saxophone for 6 months? Or why are you even expecting to be able to play all the notes beautifully with a great sound? Or, there's so much to it. It takes time, dedication, patience. So don't have unrealistic expectations. Don't get discouraged. Stay positive. Be realistic. You're going to get there if you practice every day and keep at it. So I am the Saxophone Oracle. That's what I wanted to talk about today. I hope you found the information useful. I hope some of this you've taken to heart and can put to use. As always, please remember to like, share, and subscribe. If you have questions, drop them in the comments below. Send me an email. I'd love to address them in future videos. Again, as always, thank you so much for watching. I wish you happy practicing. Bye-bye for now.